Hello guys, good afternoon. You are welcome to my YouTube channel, The Explicit Tutorials, and my name is Tudor Joseph. In today's video, I'll be taking us a course called PBB 111, Kingdom Monera, subtopic Cyanobacteria. Now, in this video, we are going to be looking at the striking features of these bacteria. Now, these bacteria, they possess similar characteristics that is with other bacteria, in that one, they lack a well-defined nucleus, and two, they lack membrane bound organelles. Okay, now those are the two things they share in common with other bacteria. However, these cyanobacteria, they have the ability to produce their own food through photosynthetic or holophytic process. And these cyanobacteria, they have the blue pigments. This blue pigment is called phycocyanin, and they have the red pigments. This red pigment is called phycoerythrin. Then so these are the pigments they use for photosynthesis. Now, there are certain striking features that cyanobacteria have that other bacteria do not have. One, they are the only bacteria that have the ability to release oxygen and also fix nitrogen. Right, you can see that they have the ability to release oxygen into the atmosphere through photolysis of water. Now, that is from water. This oxygen is gotten from water molecule, and they also have the ability to fix nitrogen. And two, they have chlorophyll A. They have chlorophyll A, and I told that they also have they also release oxygen, and they have these pigments. Now, some of the bacteria, like some of these cyanobacteria, normally cyanobacteria do not move. They are non-motile. That is, they do not have locomotory organ. They are non-motile. But there are some species of cyanobacteria, these bacteria, they move using their filaments. They use their filament to work. A good example is the Oscillatoria princeps. All right, it locomotes using its filament. By the gliding movement of the filament, this will propel it to move. Now, there are some bacteria whose cells are just single. They have a single cell. Such bacterium is called Gluecapsa cortinata or cortanata. Excuse me, please. Now, this Gluecapsa cortanata, their cells occur in the form of colony. Their cells are joined together. Okay, and again, some species of bacteria, their cells occur in the form of filaments. Good examples are the Anabena azola and nostoc species. So which means that Anabena azola and nostoc species are the two filamentous cyanobacteria. Please take note of that. They are the two filamentous cyanobacteria. These two. Is it? Okay, no. They are filamentous cyanobacteria. However, they are distinguished from each other by the way their filament form another structure. For example, now the nostoc species, their filament would form a tangled colonial mass of cells. Now, their filaments have the ability to produce a tangled and twisted colonial mass of cells. All right, that is what the nostoc. But the anabena, their filaments are free. Filaments are free. All right, and they are straight and what rigid. You can see the filaments in nostoc form tangled and twisted colonial mass cells, and you have that is the filament of nostoc are what free and they are what straight. That is for that. Again, these are the differences between nostoc species and what the Anabena azula. Now, the nostoc, they are heterocysts. I thought I filled these markers just now. Heterocysts of nostoc are both intercalary and apical. All right, the heterocysts of nostoc are both intercalary and what apical. But in Anabena, it is intercalary only. You can see that the filaments or the heterocysts of what this nostoc species, their heterocysts are both intercalary and what apical. But the Anabena, it is only what intercalary. Now your question may be, what is the meaning of what heterocysts? Now please take note, heterocysts are what elongated. They are elongated vegetative cells. All right, the heterocysts are what elongated vegetative what cells. Veggie. Okay, it's correct. Now, what are the responsibilities of these heterocysts? I said that they are elongated and what vegetative cells. Which one? They contain enzyme called nitrogenase. And this nitrogenase is the enzyme that helps the cyanobacteria to fix what? Nitrogen. You can see nitrogenase. The enzyme used by cyanobacteria to fix nitrogen into the soil is called what? Nitrogenase. Now, number two, these heterocysts also have the ability to break to form what? New organisms. They break into different filaments to form what? Another organisms. So these are the functions of what? The heterocyst. One, I said they contain enzyme called what? Nitrogenase, which helps the cyanobacteria to fix what? Nitrogen. And two, I said they break into different filaments to form what? A new organism. So those are the functions of what? The heterocyst. Okay, now another difference between nostoc and Anabena is that Anabena is nostoc is both aquatic and what? Terrestrial. Alright, non-stock species are both what? Aquatic and what? That is, they live on both, they live on land and what? In water. So they are both aquatic and what? Terrestrial. But the Anabena are just what? Aquatic. They are just what? Aquatic. Take note of that. So please, the uh, Anabena has a more occurring what? Akinets. They have a more occurring akinets than the nostoc. Look at it. Nostoc is both aquatic and terrestrial, but Anabena is just what? Let me use is just what? Aquatic. Then the Anabena has a more occurring akinets than the nostoc. Your question is, what is the meaning of what? Akinets. Now, akinets are actually is found growing near the heterocyst. Now, the akinete is also what? A vegetative cell, okay? The akinete is also a vegetative cell that does the following. One, it stores food, or it stores or reserves food for adverse condition. That is, it stores food or reserves food for future what? Use. Then number two, during adverse condition, the akinets may germinate to produce what? Another nostoc filaments. Alright, which means that heterocyst does two things. One, they contain nitrogenase, which helps the cyanobacteria to fix what? Nitrogen. And two, they also enhance what? Reproduction, like by breaking into different what? Filaments. Then the akinete, I said, stores or reserves food for what? Future use when the condition is not quite what? Tolerable, when it's not good enough. I said the akinets, since I said they are vegetative cells, they also have the ability to what? Germinate and later forms what? Another non-stock what? Filament. So please take note of that. Now, that is reproduction in cyanobacteria. What kind of reproduction do cyanobacteria undergo? What kind of, is it sexual or asexual? Reproduction in cyanobacteria. Now listen, cyanobacteria undergoes asexual type of reproduction, like fission. Right? I said that the cyanobacteria reproduce through what? Asexual reproduction, that is what? Fission. Now, filaments of cells are formed through what? Fragmentation. When filaments of cells are formed through fragmentation, smaller filaments are produced, and these filaments will now produce two cells. A good example of organism is the Capsa quaternata. Alright, so which means that the filaments of this Glocapsa quaternata have the ability to produce what? Two cells. Now, smaller cells from the filaments are called what? Homogonia cells, or they are simply called what? Homogonia. Now, smaller cells of the filament are called what? Homogonia. They are called what? homogonia. And filamentous cells, or these cells of filament, are formed through what? Fragmentation. Now, this homogonia has the ability to grow through what? Cell division. Has that Which of these has the ability to produce what? To grow through cell division? A, heterocyst; B, akinete; C, homogonia. Please, it is what? Homogonia. An example of organism that uses this type of production is the Oscillatoria princeps. All right, Oscillatoria what? Princeps, which means that the fragments formed through fragmentation is called what? Homogonia, and they grow through what? Cell division. A good example of organism is what? Oscillatoria princeps. Okay, and again, there are some that actually reproduce through normal fragmentation. They reproduce through what? Normal what? Fragmentation, without using what? This homogonia. Once they are making use of normal fragmentation, alongside they also use what? The akinete. So they use the word akinete. They use the akinete. Just leave the word like that. They use the word akinete. I told us the function of the akinete. It serves as a vegetative organ or reproductive organ. It also what? Stores or reserves food for future what? Purpose. I said that there are some organisms that reproduce through normal what? Fragmentation, using what? Akinete. Good examples are the Anna, Annabella azula, Annabella azula, and nostoc species. So the two of them, they reproduce through what? In the normal fragmentation, using what? The akinete. So please, that is all about the cyanobacteria. Please take note of the differences between the Annabella azula and nostoc what? Species. Now the next topic or subtopic is viruses. Now, what are viruses? Viruses are, let me write on the board. Viruses are packets. They are packets of what? Hereditary materials in a coat of proteins or protein. Now, I said viruses are packets of what? Hereditary materials in a coat of what? Protein. Now, viruses are both living and what? Living. They are not living when they assume a crystalline structure, and they are living when they are found in the host of a living organism. Now, viruses that are found outside the host, outside the cell of the host, are said to be what? Non-living. Alright, I just said something like that just now, that when they are found outside the host, they are said to be what? Non-living. They assume a non-living form called what? Viron. So which means a non-living virus is called what? A virum. Take note of that. And this virum is surrounded by a protein coat called what? Capsid. Alright, this viron is surrounded by what? A protein coat called what? Capsid. The extra DNA strand in a bacteria is called what? Capsid. Capsid is a plasmid. Sorry, the extra DNA strand in a bacterium is called what? Plasmid. Plasmid. But the protein coat found surrounding the viron is called what? A capsid. Capsid. Take note of that. Now, of course, the viruses are actually under the magnificent of what? The electron microscope. They can only be seen using what? The electron microscope. But bacteria are under what? Light microscope. They are under the magnificent of what? Light microscope. Okay, and viruses have DNA or RNA. All right, they have DNA or RNA, and they don't have what the both at the same time. All right, they do not have ribosomes. They do not have what ribosomes, which means that every energy they generate is from the cells of what the host. Every energy they generate in the form of what ATP is from what cells of the host. Now there are some, of course, you know that the viruses are actually not living, and you say they are what is cellular. They are said to be what in they are said to be non living, and they are what is cellular. They are what prokaryotic. They do not have what a well defined nucleus. Okay, now there are some, but there are some viruses that have the ability to cause what hemorrhage causing viruses. These are called bacteriophage. Bacteriophage is a T-shaped bacterial virus. Alright, a T-shaped bacterial virus that causes hemorrhage is called which of these? It is called what? Bacteriophage. Bacteriophage causes what? Hemorrhage. Take note of that. Then why human immunodeficiency virus causes what? AIDS. That's HIV. Alright, that is the one that causes what? AIDS. But the one that causes hemorrhage is called what? Bacteriophage. Okay, now you have different species of viruses. We have adenovirus, we have picornavirus, we have the Ebola virus. Okay, and this bacteriophage is actually what? An Ebola virus. Alright, it's what? An Ebola virus. Okay, now you also have you also have viruses occurring as what? Cylindrical what? Body cylindrical tobacco mosaic virus. We have some occurring as what? Cylindrical tobacco mosaic virus, and we have some occurring as spherical yellowish mosaic virus. All right, you can see that. So please take note of this. So at this point, to call it a day, everything about viruses has been put to rest. Please, the nucleic acid that's viruses viruses produced is from the cells of what? The host. It's from the cells of what? The host. And it's viron, they only reproduce what? In a living cells. They only reproduce in a living cell. Take note of that. And so at this point, we'll call it a day. So everything about Kingdom Monera has been treated. Our next topic is going to be Kingdom Protista. So please, thanks for watching and endeavor to subscribe.